I'm Katrina, and this is Sew and Tare. This is part one of how to get the most meat off a rabbit, and it goes through cutting the meat off of the bone. This assumes that you have already watched the video, which I will put a card in the corner for, about parting up a rabbit. So what I'd like you to do is to watch that video first, up to the legs part, and then after the legs are done, we'll deal with the rest of the cutting up in this video.
All right, so I told you guys we were going to cut the meat off the bone, and some people are having problems doing that. Now, last time I did a whole batch of, well, I did 6 rabbits cut off the bone, and I really should have filmed it after that. So hopefully I don't stumble, because I was getting really good at it. You'll get good at it once you do a bunch of them in a row. But what you need to know about the back leg is there's bone here to the knee and bone there. So what I do is I start at the ball joint, at the that starts near the body, right? And I just cut in. This is the ankle, this is the inside thigh. So I cut in right there and just follow underneath the bone. Okay. And I cut on top of the bone. Remember, you're not cutting the bone. And then I can pinch it. You guys see how I can pinch that? I can pinch it and put the knife underneath and do the other side. Now, people are going to do this many different ways. Doesn't really matter. Do the way that you like. If you have a different method, put it in the comments. I want to know. This is just one that I, came up with. So there is the thigh bone. Okay. Now the knee is very close to the surface. So what I do on the lower part is I go on the top, on the outside. So I'm going to finish doing that. And I'm going to cut down right next to the bone. Right here. Okay, this is the top of the knee now. This is the ankle. And I'm trying to cut alongside the bone next to this muscle here. Okay, so I separated that muscle from the bone. Okay. Next I do, this is the inner knee. Next I do this part. And just slide it down there. And then lastly, do the bottom. Alright, so it's pretty much free except for the knee. I'm holding the thigh. This is the bottom part of the leg. And now let's go this way. You should be able to find the joint right here. Okay. It has a little knob on this end. Cut around it. Okay. So the knob's right there. And then cut down where the calf is. Now I only did this for a few rabbits for when I canned it, and it turned out really good. If you're not going for huge pieces, you can just cut piecemeal. that's kind of what I did, and then I just went to doing it all at once. Okay. So there you go. There is your bone. It's one thigh bone, and it's like one, and then like a little tiny on the underside by the calf. And there's some meat on there, and that's fine. I will add this to a bone broth though, so that's not wasted. And what you're left with, boy, that looks very similar to a chicken breast, doesn't it? Is a piece of meat that doesn't have a bone. Okay, let's see that again. I'm going to fast forward this so you guys can see it. You know, in fast motion. Alright, so there's a little more meat on that one, but that's fine. It's going in bone broth. Same result. Off in a single piece. Alright. Next up is the front legs, and these are a little bit more tricky. They kind of have a little bit more parts to them. So I always start up in here and get this part first. So I'm going to go on top. Now this is, well, maybe I should do it this way. Alright, so this, you can basically see the bone on the inside. This is the inside, this is the armpit right here. And we can start there, because this really doesn't have much muscle right here. We're just peeling back the bone, or peeling the back from the bone. Then start on top of the bone, and you can go right along the bone right there and get that area, the little hollow there. And again, you can put your finger in and feel where the edges are and cut that off. Okay, it's going to have a little triangular shape. You can either just cut that kind of round, or you can cut it in and then cut it up and cut it down. And what I do is I go from both sides. Sometimes I go from one side, but I go from both sides. This is the armpit now here. I think one of the major things to know when you are parting out a rabbit is the shape of the bone, because then you know what you're cutting against and what you're not cutting against. So you can see this right here, it's flat, and then it has a peak. So this peak is what we need to get the meat off of. Okay. Now I remember thinking when I cut up a whole bunch of them that if I were to cut up a whole bunch again, I'm just going to connect this here, that I would likely just freeze the front legs because they take so much time to debone, and then just use them, you know, like chicken legs or something. And the rest of it's pretty easy. So there's the shape of that bone. You can see how far out it sticks. Kind of give you a view there. So that, I think, is why some people have problems. You can, you know, get out the extra meat right there. And that goes all the way down to the next joint is where it goes. So again, we have this whole flap on the outside of the arm. This is the inside. I'm actually just going to cut this piece off because it's not really connected to much else. Actually, it's right there. Okay. Now, next you can feel. If you don't know what the bones are like, you can feel. Now this one, there's one bone here, right? So we're going to, it's going to be tougher by the joints because there's tendons and stuff. Just cut through. And then along the bone. So this is the bone right here. I'm cutting along the top of the bone. Okay. I'm actually cutting all the way through. And from here, honestly, I'm just going to cut it off. Okay. Next, we have the bottom part. Do the same thing on the bottom of the bone. Okay. You can pinch it. There's the bone. You can pinch it. Put the knife underneath and go both directions. Just don't cut yourself. Okay. That'll help. And from here you should be able to go right down into, well, it would be a calf if it was the back one. I don't know what it's called, it's front. But there's that joint. The joint goes out a little bit and then come back and get that muscle. Okay. So next we have to get this joint here. And it's just a matter of finding where the bone is and knowing that this joint is quite large. So cutting around that joint. All right, so pretty clean. We have one more muscle here, and we'll just go on the one side of this bone. We're going to have to angle to get all the way around the bone. And cut to disconnect. So this is that front shin area, I guess. And then this is the front leg plus that the extra muscle that we got. So that's all the meat from the front leg. That's pretty big. Maybe I'll do this one on fast forward as well. Here we go. So again, there is the shape. This is next to the body. Okay, going to the ankle. This is on top of the body. So this is the scapula here. It connects to the shoulder. This is the elbow and down to the ankle. So we do have some other meat on there. That's fine. We're going to be putting that into the pressure cooker and getting well, meat and then broth out of it. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do this in fast motion for you guys. There we go. But with this rabbit, I'm going to show you what I do. Now, if I want to cut it off the bone, this is what I do. You can see the ribs right here. And you can feel where the ribs connect with this muscle here. So I separate that muscle. I might cut into it a little, that's fine. And I'm actually going to be taking this muscle all the way off. So I start up high. And once you get a good grip on the muscle, it's pretty easy. Because you can just bring it down. You can actually put your finger in there to go underneath the muscle, pick it up, and then just get the muscle. And once you get past the rib cage, so here's the last rib right here. It looks like it's up here, but it's down here. So I'm going to go past that last rib. Okay. Past that last rib and cut all the way through there. Okay. And we have this big chunk of muscle. So, it's been a while since I did this. I have to remember how I did it. Alright, so we have that big chunk of muscle, and we might as well do the other side while we're doing this. So you'll see the peak of the backbone is here, and then here's where the ribs come out. So to do this on the other side, I just go down you'll feel the bone right here. I just go down on this. And you can start it the way I did the other way too. Okay. All right. So again, I put my finger underneath that muscle, pop it up, and cut along it. Underneath it, pop it up, cut along the ribs. Now, this side's actually a little easier. So I'm leaving a lot of meat here, but I'm getting a lot of meat. So I think when people cut them, they often lose all this meat that's right here, and they either turn into bone broth, which is fine, it's not a waste, but they don't really know how to get it off the bone. And I figured this out when we were doing this. Now, at this point, this should just pop off. All right, and you're gonna have some sinewy stuff. You can either, you know, take that off or not. I think I'm going to take it off at the end. Trying to keep this so you guys can see it, which takes a little longer. All right. So again, I can put my finger in, get underneath that muscle, pull it up, and I'm cutting right next to the spine. But you can actually go underneath the muscle and pop it up and get your fingers in between there so that you have a cleaner cut. And this is how I did it when I made, well, I fried some chunks, and I also, when we canned all that rabbit, this is what I did. Alright, so I've gone all the way down this side. This is the hip bone right here. We've gone all down this side, and this is the hip bone right here. So we can actually just cut in and cut out. So I cut down the side of the backbone. You can see the ribs. And then this right here is the hip joint. I mean, I could have, when I did the back leg, I should have gotten a little more meat, but it's okay, I didn't. I just cut down next to it, and then go up and cut down next to it on the other side, and that folds open. Now we have more meat on the inside. So you can see I cut down along the ribs, but we didn't get the belly yet. So we can either get that all in one piece or cut this off now. And actually, I think it's fine to just cut it off. Before I did it all in one piece, but then I ended up cutting it up anyway. But look at this. This is all the meat from the back. So this is up by the neck. This is down by the hips. And that's a lot of meat on there. So there's one. And this section here, let's see if my canner calms down. All right, so this section here, this is the inside, along the back on the inside. You can find the top, pinch it, and you can stick the knife in there, and pinch it again. Cut it off from the bottom, along the ribs. And that should, very, very gently, you can pull off along the ribs once you've cut the bottom. Alright, so there is another piece, quite a bit of meat, and we're left with, this is the back, this is the belly part, and there's really no more meat on there. There's some connective tissue in between the ribs only. So this is a good method for this. Again, we're gonna cut along the spine on this side because this is where the meat is. So, okay, this is the head end, that's the tail end. I'm going to put my finger in underneath that muscle and along the ribs. Pop it up and cut along it. Okay. Again, I'm just moving it from the ribs and cutting along. And I found that this is the best way to get the most meat off the bone. And again, be careful not to cut yourself. And we've hit the hip joint. So, going down here. There's the hip joint right there. I'm going to cut on this side. And cut down. There you go. Turn it over for the belly. Let's get out this piece all at once. Okay, so you see here's the center. Here's the ribs that we need to get out of. This is what it looks like right here. Okay, so cut down the center to detach this muscle. Okay, we're detaching that muscle. Start up high, and we're just pinching it off of the ribs. Comes out pretty good. Sometimes you get these strings and we're just going to cut them off. Okay. Now when you do it all at once like this, you end up with one big piece. Okay. So, well, I guess it detached itself, but I have cut it off where it's just part of this piece, but it's attached. So that's a lot of meat. That's how you get it off the bone. Now, for the rest of this carcass, and we're going to do this with the other carcass as well. I'll show you a different way to cut it up. There's a lot of meat on here. There's a lot more meat. There's some meat in here. There's some meat in the hips. Not very much right there, but some. There's meat by the ribs. There's still some up by the neck.
So I'll be showing you in a different video how to get that meat out.
Alright, that's how you get the most meat off the bone. And show you the back. So that's how you get the most meat off the bone. We have the back, we have the inner back, we have one thigh, we have another thigh, we have front leg, other front leg, and two of the stomach pieces. And there's your rabbit. So that's a lot of usable meat. And then we are going to take this along with our carcasses, and we're going to get more meat. So stay with us, and there's going to be a couple different videos with this. I'm not sure how I'm going to split it up yet. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned how to cut up your rabbit. And have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and share with someone who you think would like it. Thank you.